the West Point Thoroughbred colors. We're ready to go. And they're off in the Whitmore Stakes. Rivet gets the first call of the race as stablemate Jackson Traveler away with him. Surveillance, the gray horse, wedges himself between the two Aspen entrants, and these two kick on now. Surveillance and Rivet as Jackson Traveler eases off that pair, runs in the third position. 2.5 to Osborne in fourth, and stretch running Tejano Twist is last down the back stretch. So the two co-favorites both went off at 6-5, first and last approaching the four turn run, separated by 6 lengths as Rivet leads the way with Surveillance hounding him, but not a fast pace here, especially for a high caliber sprint. They went 22-2 for that first quarter mile. Jackson Traveler got a breather, coming on again 3 wide. Tejano Twist is now making his move on the outside, and he's moving up to claim fourth from a weakening Osborne, who's under pressure. Top of the lane, Rivet, Surveillance, and Jackson Traveler are all off the turn as one. Rivet loses the lead to his stablemate, Jackson Traveler. Now Tejano Twist is asked for more now on the grandstand side. Jackson Traveler in front. Here comes Tejano Twist on the outside, unleashed with his rally. Jackson Traveler, Tejano Twist, Jackson Traveler, Tejano Twist, coming flying on the outside. Photo finish. Very tight. Tejano Twist.
I beat the favorite. Yeah.
Just before we get started, everybody has to know that I picked Jackson Traveler to win that race. So got that out of the way.
First of all, good morning. And Emily, you have a little bit of a talk a little.
Okay, should I just log out?
Yeah, log out, log back in. You got the Max Headroom thing going on. Oh, Mike, we're live. Look at Mike.
How you guys doing?
How you doing? Oh, Mike.
I'm going to give you my picks of the day today. And if I beat you guys, as far as money goes, you guys owe me a steak dinner at Primo.
All right, we'll do that. That was my brother, Mike.
That'll work. Yeah, we're gonna go do some gambling today.
You going to Oaklawn Casino?
Yeah, the blackjack table's calling our name tonight.
Oh, boy. I heard some crazy stories about that. So anyway, that replay there, I had Jackson Traveler that day too. Marco, I didn't like the horse a lot. You liked it.
I had Jackson Traveler that day.
Yeah, and I picked it in that was NHC day.
That's correct. Do I sound better?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay.
So yeah, that was during the NHC, and I think that was on the Saturday. I couldn't pick any winners because Friday I did really well, if you remember, and then Saturday I couldn't pick anything. I was 0 for whatever, and then I called Marco. I'm like, "Look, man, I'm struggling. What do you like here?" You gave me the horse, and you liked it too, Emily.
Yeah, I did. Had it on top in the Oaklawn selection. So people following along, it is documented.
Okay, good. Well, we believe you.
I know.
All right. We got let's see. Hey, Fat Jamie.
Hey.
Fat Jamie. Hello. Yeah, he goes by Fat Jamie. He met us at the OTB in Villa Park a couple of weeks ago for the tournament during Thanksgiving. And we had a good time. Justin Dew gave him some merch. I got just over my shoulder here. You see one of his hats for Lone Speed. So if anybody wants one, get a hold of Justin or myself. We'll get you a hat. Oaklawn today. First of all, Emily, let me dive into what you do. You have optics, and I bought the $25 silver plan.
Awesome!
If you want to tell me a little, now I bought it this morning before I handicapped, and I'm just I'm gonna compare to what I did compared to what optics loves.
Okay.
And we're going to figure everything out from there and maybe get my bearings, because I still don't know how to use it correctly. And I think the best way to dive into something and learn how to using something is just diving into it.
100%.
And using the product and getting used to it. So I have the silver thing. I think with the silver subscription, I thought I was just paying for one card, but I get the whole day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Don't you think that's like the way it should be done, right?
Yeah,
in modern horse racing, most people are kind of jumping all over, or if you buy one card, you might not like it, or maybe they cancel or, something like that. So I want to make sure you're getting some bang for the buck. And it's absolute value. I mean, all the cards, all the information, all the notes. I mean, the notes alone saves you hours of time. And then obviously you can, do your own notes or go back and spot watch, but horses coming from all over and playing a circuit you don't normally play. But the thing to keep in mind with optics is, I know that we joke and say like, who does optics like, but it's data and analytics, right? So essentially it's how you as the individual is processing and analyzing that data. And in the game of horse racing, where you're going to find an edge against the public, because we tend to forget that we are playing against everybody else. So being able to create an edge or an opportunity in situations where, okay, I see why the public is playing this horse, but there could be some weakness in there as far as current form cycle or pace or a speed figure that's inflated, a certain trend that's going on. We see a lot of trending hot and cold, especially early at Oaklawn. So those are the factors that, especially with a product like optics, and I know obviously like I'm a partner and I own it, but that's what I use to handicap, is most people are using standard past performances. So having a piece of information that not everybody's using can have value in that alone.
Okay. That's good stuff. We're going to dive into that. I see the first race optics does not like my horse. But
that's because if you don't think optics likes it, then you don't like it either. That's how it works.
Listen, I don't know if I like my selection anyway either, but we'll dive into it in a little bit. Let's see, Accountability Friday. So what we have here on the bottom scrolling there, me and Marco's ROI. So what we're doing, Emily, for last year and this year, we're doing a mythical $2 win place, and it's just kind of like the NAC, whatever. And every race, every card, and so far I'm minus $35.60. Marco's plus $48.40.
Nice,
so
stop
far.
The race.
Yeah, so he's killing it.
Started off good.
Take the money and run. You're done. Call it a meet.
Right?
And on top.
Can't do that.
Yes.
That's no fun in the gambler's blood.
So Marco's killing it so far. Good start for you, Marco. All right, I'll take that off because I'm minus $35 so far. The weather today, sunny and fast. From what I'm seeing, Marco, it was muddy last week. It looks like we're getting sunny and fast.
Beautiful morning, clear skies, blue, water's flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Nice brisk coffee morning, and then it's going to warm up a little bit. I would imagine it gets, probably close to, mid-50s, I would imagine.
Okay. Perfect. That's all we need. Sunny, 50-degree weather, Hot Springs, Arkansas. All right. Well, what I would like to do is dive into the first race, and what I'll do too, after we look at it, I'll switch back and forth, and we can kind of peek at what optics, what kind of information optics has. Let me get out of here and go to the first race. There's a lot of maiden races, I noticed, especially in the early pick 5. So I noticed optics, with the lack of information, just like any product, it's hard to come up with something, but I'm sure I'm just, grabbing that out of a hat. I have no idea if optics has something for maidens, something extra for maidens.
Well, what do you when you say I'm not sure what optics has, like
you're
looking at that doesn't have, because
I'm looking at some of the races where there's horses that are unraced, so I think just like any product, you're not going to have much for breeding.
We have all the same information. If you pop open the grid, the workouts are in there and everything. So
okay. Well, we're gonna dive into a little bit of that. Marco, start us off what you were kind of figuring here, and then I'm gonna dive into what I like, and we'll take a look at optics.
All right, race 1. I landed on the favorite 2-1 Time and Beyond. Nothing really popped out at me on this race. I also think this horse is one of the horses that will actually show a little bit of early foot. Hasn't run horrible in its life so far.
Okay.
But just looking the lack of gate speed in here and concerns me with most of the runners. So I think the key to this is going to break out of the gate and find yourself in good position early for especially with, when you're working with younger, maiden horses that haven't won yet and they're still trying to figure things out. So there's my plan.
I got you. I landed on the 3 horse here. Look, there's not much to go by. The connections. I like to see these connections win. Strong work tab. I'm getting a price, and I'm just hoping that from the race last year, I'm a little bit more mature. I got, that work to point to on December 4th. If I'm feeling good and I can work good out of the gate like that, maybe I can pop the lid today. And with these, these Arkansas maidens, if you can grab the front early, you can get a lot more confidence. And this one, I'm going to treat this one as kind of like a first-time starter, even though it ran a year ago. We haven't seen it in a long time. Like a lot of Arkansas breds, we've talked about that before. They just, put them on the shelf and bring them back every year. But this one, late in the 3-year-old season now, nice work tab. I like the 12-1 morning line, and I'm just hoping I can run first or second and collect some money. If we go to optics here, I know a little bit, Emily, just from talking to you and Justin, who has a subscription. The squares are good, the circles are bad, and you want to be in the upper left quadrant.
Well, yeah. So what you're looking at when you're looking at the plot is you're looking at a visual representation of the pace, right?
Right.
And when you have horses that are, lightly raced, so like the case of your 3, who in terms of pace, I would also consider kind of like a first-time starter, because you have one race as a juvenile, could be a completely different horse. Going back and watching the debut race from the 3, it was a horse that broke slow, and then the rider took hold, and based on those visuals, it looked like a horse that wanted to show early speed. So where the 3 is positioned on the plot, you'd think, okay, this horse is a closer with no finishing ability, but this horse could easily show more early speed today. So I would take pace, and a lot of times in maiden races, with a grain of salt. Right. And in these type of races, I use the grid. So if you scroll up on that page,
okay,
to where it says optics grid notes, there's like a little button.
Oh, right here. I can click that. I didn't know I can click that. Okay.
Oh yeah. So now we're cooking, right? Now we're cooking with gas, because now this is like where your standard past performances are. So I'm going off this. So we can look at that trip that I just talked about on the 3. You can scroll over. It's like a C+ tactic. You can scroll over that little blue. Boom. And it'll give you more information.
Oh, I could scroll over on the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if I go all the way over.
Yeah.
Oh, holy cow. There's all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot there. A lot of information as far as race shape. You can click on where it says OP, and you can pull up the plots from the prior races. You can see the race shapes, the run style, the previous plots that the horse came out of. A lot.
Okay, Emily, real quick. I see a lot of races here where it's scratched out. That means the horse was entered and scratched?
Yeah, so scroll over to the left again.
Okay. That's interesting. That's cool. You can get that information.
Yeah, so you can see the race. I'm like pointing to it like it's my screen. Yeah, you can see there's 2 races that the horse scratched out of at Oaklawn.
Yeah.
Park. Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason why the horse was scratched too, one being an AE, one being a vet, the riders that were assigned at the time. So a lot of information in there. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. There's so much information.
Yeah, I know.
But a lot more than what you were just looking at in terms of just kind of going off the plot. So I tend to look at the plot, get kind of an idea for what this race is gonna, stand out, if there's like a controlling speed, or there's going to be a contentious pace, or any type of outliers. And then I do most of my handicapping in grid, me personally. So the horse that I'm looking at in here is, and I like both your horses, to be honest. I think both present upside. But the horse I'm going to lean on is the 7.
The 7.
All green lights. Yeah. So if we go back to the debut race, that was a race that the horse opened up as if you scroll over the blue, a horse that was 15-1 morning line opened up as the blue pause, the little blue pause.
Oh, where am I going?
I'm like trying to point at it. The running line for all green lights over the next little blue, it looks like next to the note.
Optic notes, these little things here.
Yeah. So go to the very first race.
And then do I click on that?
Yeah, you just scroll, just like what you did right there.
Just go on it and it goes up. So boss winner, top 2 together at the wire.
Yeah. But that first note, look at that first note there, the debut race back on December 9th.
So Treff, what does that say? Tactic, rush wide. Okay, opened as the favorite off of a 15-1 morning line.
Yeah.
Broke slow, moved up in hand. Well, you got some really good trip notes on all these races.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that showed me that the horse, there was some intent first out for this horse. And then they came back in January, had another trip, had legitimate trouble in there. And then off that race, maybe just came back a little bit on shorter rest, tried to show a little bit more early speed, ended up having an excuse, closing out the year. Both those last 2 races of the season were from an outside post. A horse that can fire fresh, picks up Torres, has always had some intent, has speed figures that are fast enough. Just think, if this one can kind of put it together off those early season races, can jump up with a big race. So I'm leading on that, on the 7 in here at a price, and then using the 2 horses that you mentioned as well. I don't really have much interest other than underneath for the horse that's listed as the favorite, who's number 6, Great Barrier. I don't even think, even if you go back to the plot, there's no edge for Great Barrier in this race, even in comparison to number 1, Percy Road, who has like a similar run style, is going to be a bigger number. So not a horse I'm interested in playing on top. If that one wins, I lose, and I'm okay with it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously green is good.
Yeah. Well, what we do is we run analytics on it. So it's not just like we're saying that it's good, but we're doing the numbers and saying in the long term, it'll have a positive ROI and neutral. And so you can see where it's kind of that darker, that 70 says 74 to 66. That's the speed figure that it typically takes to win today's particular race. So you can see, so we color code the speed figures to show that the horse has run speed figures that are in range. And then it also has the range for the prior races. So you can see if a horse is kind of subtly stepping up in class or down in class, even if it's closer to a lateral move, just another idea of like race strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I like this. Very interesting. Because I made my picks just from regular handicapping. Like I said, I bought the subscription this morning, and I really want to compare everything and then see where that makes sense. Maybe I should have looked at that, or it's just another handicapping tool if you really want to be serious. I know Justin Dew has used it as part of his handicapping arsenal, and he's been doing really, really well with it. So.
Yeah, and again, it's still traditional handicapping, right? You're looking at, does the horse have a pace advantage, or does their run style set up for today's race shape? Are they at the right class level for their abilities? Are they fast enough to compete? And is the horse in form? That's basic handicapping. So regardless of what tool you're using, those are the 4 questions that you're asking yourself for each horse in each race.
Good stuff. All right. Let's check out race 2. So me and Marco, I got the 3. Marco, you got the 8, and Emily, the 7 looks pretty good based on the information that you have there. The next race is a similar race. This is for the Colts and Geldings, the 2-year-old version of this 45,000 state-bred maiden race. Where did I land here? I am on the 3. My backup is your top pick, Marco. Marco, start us off with this 5 horse.
Well, we got another maiden Arky bred, maiden 40. A lot of them are light raced, or if at all. So there's not a lot to go off of. I'm going off a second start. I love that angle. The first start, he was in the slop, 5.5 furlongs. I hate 5.5 furlongs, and then I hate the slop for a first timer.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Trainer another chance here. I like the jockey, and he's actually been working out, not too bad. And that last one is a lot better than his previous. So I think he might be fit. And there's a small note in there. He was off awkwardly. So in it,
yeah, I was trying to play the replay, but
running line looks like it. So I'm going to give this guy another crack here.
Okay. Perfect. I went to the 3-horse, who is your backup, and basically on this one, I thought it was a wire threat. Should show a lot of speed. It's, Carl Broberg, when we had him on the show over the weekend, he mentioned that these Delta Downs shippers have that recency, as opposed to a lot of these Arky breds that fly off the shelf from being off for 9 months or whatever it might be. So I kind of like the recency, and it just seems like it might be a little sharp, shipping in here. The this trainer, Tim Dixon, I picked one of his horses, and he already won here with Blessed Vision, so he's got to win at the meet in 2 starts. So that's a good sign. And I figured little Randy, give him a shot here, show a little bit more zip, stretching out from that 5-panel, 22 and change. Race down there at Delta, and pop the lid here with that recency. Emily, did you have an opinion in this one?
Yeah, and I like everything you're saying about Tim Dixon, because I actually am going to give the other Tim Dixon runner a look, number 4, PI. So they actually debuted in the same race, and PI was shorter than the 2 on the day. He was drawn inside, and if you ever want to see an example of a horse resenting kickback, it's this horse. This horse's head goes straight up in the air, the nose, he's just taking dirt, and he's way out of it, just not favorable, broke slow. They ended up moving outside late in the lane, and the horse ended up showing run. It was a lone 3 to 5 chalk winner that day. There was no real change in the running order from start to finish. And so I think this horse has a lot of upside. I think they've worked. They worked since. They went right back to the gate. So maybe shows a little bit more early speed, at least moves off the inside and gets a rider change. And he was shorter odds than little Randy in that debut race. So I just think there's a little bit more upside in this horse, getting a little bit overlooked. And in that second start, and even if we look at kind of the pattern of little Randy's progression, that he moved forward speed figure wise in the second start. So PI could definitely move forward with that. So I thought that horse was kind of sneaky in there of those 2 runners. And then I gave a look to some of the first time starters in here. As far as the horses that are run, number 7, Kavanaugh, was run kind of some of the faster races, should have no excuse. Today was fractious in the gate last out. Had an excuse on debut, just completely missed the break. But as far as the first time starters, kind of some sneaky stuff in here. Number 10, More Power, a barn that if you're just looking at, he's got that steady series of longer work, so should be absolutely fit, no question about that. And a small sample of runners in the first time starting category. But when I'm doing like a deeper dive analysis of those runners, I'm looking at how fast those horses that are debuting are running. And that sample of runners, all the horses that they've sent out first out, even if they're not winning, they're running numbers that are fast enough to win this particular race. So that's all it's going to take in order to win. And then the same thing as far as number 2, Run Dino Run. The barn hasn't had a lot of luck on the win end, but it's a smaller sample of runners, and the barn sent out some live runners this meet. So I think those are 2 first-time starters in here that could be longer odds and pop with big efforts.
I like it. And Optics does have me on the lead, which I like for these cheap ones. And I always have an old saying, Emily, these young, cheap horses can get the lead and puff their chest out and keep on going. So that's what I'm hoping what happens with little Randy out of the 3-hole today. All right, race 3. It's not a maiden race, but they're 12-5 non-3 lifers. Nice purse, $32,000. These are Colts and Geldings, 3-year-olds and up. And Marco, again, you could start us off. We, again, are different. I noticed a lot of our picks were a little bit different. This one we're kind of like total opposite all over the place. I landed on the 8 horse, but you're on the 4.
Michael Hewitt, first claim.
Mike Hewitt, first claim. Okay, tell me about that.
All right. This is another one where I think this horse could actually get into an earlier start. Came off a long layoff last out and raced recent here at Oaklawn. And I didn't think that was a bad race for him. I think that one probably tightened him up pretty good. And I like to see another run on the local strip, get back into some of that early speed. I like his sprint races in his career are pretty good. He was routing, and then he last year and the year before, and then he just recently started sprinting, and then he didn't do all that bad. The allowance 2-back, that was an allowance company. Now he's dropping in for 12.5 where he belongs. So I think the class drop is going to help him out as also with the second time out at the strip.
Okay. I don't mind you trying that out. I went to the 8. This is kind of a boring. I didn't like this race too much, and I'm not excited about a Parks shipper. But at least it's feeling pretty good. And when it ships in here, hasn't run since October, but that's fine. It's, what is that, 6 weeks, 2 months or whatever it is. Working good, just drops in for the win claim. You got a little bit of a class edge. They took the hood off 2-back after running with it, and it popped. And last time, just, for whatever reason, it was in the mix and tired a little bit, but this is the right spot. This is a really big purse here at Oaklawn, and this is where a horse like this belongs. And it can be very competitive and win this race at this level. It's 3-1, which I'm not overly excited about, but if it wins, who cares? So that's where I landed. Emily, I'm looking at just, the plot here and some other things on optics on my other screen. And it looks to me that the 1 on the 5 look pretty good, but I'll digress to you.
Yeah, it's just kind of, you can look and see that it has that fire contention. So it's a lot of horses that want to be on or near the lead, but it's a lower speed rate. So not necessarily horses that are super fast on the lead, which sometimes can create a bunched up scenario, help out a horse like your 8 to come from off the pace, help out Marco's horse, stand proud to come stalking from off the pace and pick up those horses. But I think it starts in terms of the entry, who's listed as the morning line favorite, and I'm kind of going off the comment that Nick Sievers wrote, these 12-5 non-winners of 3 horses that don't want to win, that I want a little bit of a price if I'm going to play, this type of race. And as far as the entry, I thought Permafrost had a perfect trip, was just unable to go by. Maybe is a little bit fitter. He's coming out of that same common race. Second start off, but again, too short. And then as far as Lemon Drop Shot, God, the time you wanted to have him was last time when he was 18-1, and now he's going to be 9-5. So yeah, you just kind of hate. It makes you sick, right? You feel like
12 seconds. 12 seconds.
Yeah. That's the time, right? You want to play those horses at those big prices and say maybe today's the day they're going to punch through. So I'm taking kind of a similar angle, actually, to both of you guys, just with a horse that's right in between there in number 3, Guided Arrow, another one that's going to come out of a similar but different race back on opening weekend on December 7th, where he had trouble at the start, rushed up, was part of that early speed, going first off the claim, quick turnaround. But for the connections that I think are pretty live, a live call with Christian Torres for the Cravens barn. They've had a lot of success. So I just think there's some intent in there, but really kind of the same idea. There just wasn't anybody that I could trust at a shorter price. And I'm hoping they sneak away and can get the right trip.
Yeah. Ran a good race against Permafrost on opening weekend. Comes back in a couple of weeks. Should be fine here. And of course, you get leading rider from last year and Christian Torres.
Exactly.
So makes sense.
I like the pick. I was up in the air between Guided Arrow and Stand Proud.
I was too, and I flip flop them, but I was kind of like, it's the exact same idea. A horse that has recency and intent.
Yep.
Nick Sievers, 12-5 claimers, now with 3 life. None like to win. My default, it's bigger prices. It's so hard to be confident in many. Yep. Pretty much what Emily just said there.
This is one of the races. Yeah, you can't pick this race with a lot of confidence, I wouldn't think, but you gotta pick one.
Are you talking about the third race?
Yeah, it's just one of them races.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised with there's a few horses in there that can definitely win.
All right, race 4. It's another maiden race, 50,000. This is open company. I landed on the 6 here. What did I like about the 6 when I was handicapping this race? Matt's Luck with Rocco Bone. I got Mac Robertson. Should break sharper today. Stumbled in last, working well. And I have something to at least show you the replay of the head on. We don't have to watch the whole thing. But if you look at the 8 here, this was enough to keep us from getting in the mix. Boom! Right there. And, had to really work to stay in the race at that point. But Mac Robertson, he's won a lot of races at Oaklawn through the years. And this one drops down from the maiden special to the 50. And a little bit of a trip note there in the last and freshened up here. I'm just hoping I can, get the front and keep going. Marco, you're on the rail horse here. Go West Go.
Yeah, Go West Go. He showed a little zip in his first start. Got up and faded out. Second start angle, I love it. You're cutting back a half furlong. You got a bullet drill, and 3 out of 4 of his siblings all won second time starts. Going off what else is in here. It looks like a lot of early speed. So the one horse, Go West Go, has to travel the shortest distance. So that's kind of like my angle right there. Second time start improvement. And trainer is actually 24% at the angle. So there's a lot of good things to like here.
All right. Emily, when I pull up the optics, I know there's a lot of speed. I assume I'll break it a little sharper, but explain this again, the squares and the circles one more time.
Yeah, in terms of a square and a circle, just regardless of where they're positioned, it's in relationship to each other. So squares have more finishing ability than the circles in relationship to the other horses in the field. Okay, so that could change race to race, right? Like things like that. So then when you're looking at, in terms of early pace, like first call, you'd be looking left to right. So as far as that first call, you could have the 1, the 3, the 5, the 4, the 7, right up there with the 2 and the 9 right behind, and then the 6 and the 8 further back. But to your point, this being a maiden race, stumbled and then rushed wide at the start, could show more early speed. When you have a small sample of data, you're taking it with a grain of salt. So yeah, that's the relationship between the circles and squares.
I like that that optic shows that I have a square for a late run, and if I break cleaner today, hopefully I can be in the mix late. Where did you land here?
I'm with you. I'm right
Okay.
with you for all those reasons. Yeah. I agree. I mean, so I'm not gonna duplicate the saying.
Sure.
The other horses that I'd include in there are kind of the other squares on the plot outside of the 4. I mean, the 4 is listed as the morning line favorite, but the 4 Zapping Strike, I thought he was kind of flattered by the race shape last out, so it's not a horse that I'm really interested in. The other square in quadrant 1 is the 7, who's a bigger price. Newer connections coming off the layoff, just could be right there. It's just a better number, and then
but it's a teeny 7. It's a teeny one.
Exactly, but he's coming off a layoff, been a lightly raced type.
Okay.
We'll see.
What's it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know what the square and the circles are. The bigger the square and the smaller the
yeah. So the bigger the square, the bigger the finish. The bigger the square, the bigger the finish. The bigger the circle, the less of the finish.
So the 7, if it's small like that, is that just, what does that mean?
What it's saying is in relationship, based on the races to date, based in relationship, doesn't have as much finishing ability as the 4.
Okay, but at least it's a square.
But has some finishing ability and has positional speed.
Correct. Yeah. All right.
And it's 15-1 versus 6-5 or whatever.
Right.
And then the other horse that I would use is the 8, who maybe just kind of sneaks away. It's kind of a similar to the 6. Can run from off the pace. Has had some subtle trips. It's coming back off a layoff. The race is at Oaklawn Park. If you want to go back to the plot real quick, just to look at the past 3 run lines. The speed figures from those Oaklawn races in maiden special weight company, the 75, you have to scroll to the right, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, those, the 75, 76, like those numbers,
those
numbers are right there. And then the drop projection back when they're in maiden special weight company. So it's kind of like everything's coming together. You have the numbers that are competitive at the right level. You're at the right class level for your abilities. So those are the horses I'm using. I want to take prices in here, 6, 7, 8.
I gave the 8 a long look. I have it picked second. Second time blinkers angle is a really big thing that I've learned through the years from a guy named Chalkbuster on Twitter. And it seems to be a good handicapping angle. But it's going to be interesting to see how this, with the lack of starts from a lot of these. Some of these have some starts, though. But these are young horses, and they always can pop up out of nowhere, All right, let's go to the next race. It's going to close out our pick 5, and it's another maiden race, and it's a restricted 2-year-old. I'm assuming this is it's a maiden 100,000 claiming race for 2-year-olds. It's probably, let me see what it's for maiden 2-year-olds, which have sold for $75,000 or less. So somebody can buy one of these for $100,000.
Well, and some of them are protected, like the one right there is not in for a tag.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Marco, start us off. What do you like here?
I went with the longest shot on the board. Zen Dreams. Blinkers on. This race, I honestly didn't like pretty much. I didn't like anything.
All right.
I was just going back and forth. Nothing caught my eye. Just a lot of crappy races, and this one,
okay,
just really this one stepped up a little bit. Last time out, lost. I thought I didn't think that was a crappy field. Now you're adding the hood, and I'm just gonna hope that this one can actually just. Again, you need to break out of the gate at Oaklawn if you're way behind. If you don't have any horse, I don't like that whatsoever. Spent $150,000 on this horse. Was that a 2-year-old? But I think this one is restricted. I think it sold for $75 afterwards at some point.
Oh yeah, it must have been. They tried to maybe pinhook it, and they didn't RNA it after it.
Yeah, so all these horses. Money. So yeah, all these horses sold for $75,000 or less in the last auction.
That's interesting. I always thought maybe they would put the last auction on the PPs, and I guess that's not the case.
So there might be something with this horse. Maybe it's ailing a little bit, and just off, but I'm just gonna this is a Vegas stab right here. This is what this is.
Okay. Well, you got Mac Robertson, Rocco Bowen. We love Rocco.
Bowen, he can ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, nothing in this whole field really caught my eye that I can actually say, hey, I like this horse.
All right, well, I went to the one, St. Albans Raid. I like 10 strike, Matt Schreer. This one got in a speed duel last time and kind of got tired. I don't know about the pace of it. It was a 2-year-old race, so I'm not going to put.
Do you want me to add something to that?
Go.
The winner of that race sat outside the pace duel and got first run, and the winner was a stablemate to this horse.
Okay.
So it was kind of a setup trip for the winner.
All right. So yeah, about well time.
Yeah.
Yep. There it is. There's the trip.
And there's the owner group. It's the same.
Yep. Just sitting right off. And that's something that I would find in optics.
Correct.
Good. So anyway, stretches out fastest early, in my opinion. Although optics, they have me out there, but I don't like the circle. But
well, on surface distance, it's good because it's also high close to the par line. So you have like the second call speed, where the 5 and the 8, not so much.
Okay, and again, it's a maiden race, so did this one eat the right oats today as opposed to something else? Emily, where did you go?
I went with both. I like both your picks. The 1 and the 2 are definitely uses for me. The other horse that I'm using, and probably maybe I should have put on top, is probably the more likely, is the 7, Take Charge Milady. There's a couple things I don't like, but I think this horse makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
It's a belated second start, but that debut figure, now Optics has it a little bit different. So when I say the horse ran a 70, I'm looking at Optics speed figures. But the 70 that they ran was back in the summer of the juvenile season, so definitely could project a move forward. From a competitive race, I mean, that 70 number is as fast as some of the other horses in this field that have been running as of late. So just kind of projecting a move forward. Those are the ones I went to. I'm still negative. I'll give kind of a stat for Brad Cox, who's sending out the 3. And obviously, the barn can win or whatever. But Brad Cox in this category with juveniles that are debuting around 2 turns, specifically here at Oaklawn Park, the numbers are just not strong, and they typically get bet down quite a bit. So it's one of those things that eventually these horses are going to win, but you're going to keep taking short price after short price to find out. And there's been a few already this season that have come up short.
You're right about that.
That's a good point. I picked the 3 underneath. The 7 exits I have a note here, exits the toughest race from the summer.
Yeah.
That race was super tough. I mean, while you were talking, I was showing some of the past performances, some of the horses that ran in there and they came out and won next time out, and they got big numbers. So that's a key race. I think the 7's going to get pounded.
I do too.
I don't think it's going to go off at 7-2, but that's just me. It's part of the reason why I didn't want to play it. But if it goes off at that morning line, it's one that you guys should definitely look at.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the start of the late pick 5. It's race 6. We have a non-2 lifer. This was for me. I mean, all these horses just don't like to win, and I had a hard time with this race. Marco, start us out. Let us know what you like here.
I went with the Asmussen runner. Showed pretty decent gate work with his dirt sprints. Not too bad. Like you said, these horses, none of them won. They're non-2 lives. The biggest thing with this runner was the class drop, and that was pretty much my sole reasoning behind the was it Bell Sherry taking a big class drop to 35 non-2 from 65 non-2, which didn't run all that bad. Then the winner of that race won next out, and the connections are there. Logical choice. I mean, it's not really much else to say about it. She's going to be the favorite more than likely in the race, so not using a lot of an imagination on this race.
All right. Yeah, I used imagination. I went to the John Ortiz runner, the 5. You know, I don't know who the hell Rave Grisalas is, the jockey. I've never heard of him. He's not a bug. I'm wondering why Ortiz has him riding this horse, but this horse was pretty good 2 years ago at Oaklawn.
The Argy bred.
Yeah, it's just a total unknown here. Has run against better when you look at like Ken Tax and the company lines, and you know, I'm just hoping he's got the, you know, John wins a lot of races over there at Oaklawn. He's got some really nice horses. This one, they're just looking for a good spot now, finally, to run it competitive somewhere. Did not have the juice last time. Maybe that affected it. And then 2 back on a muddy track. You know, didn't run well, but it did win in the slop. So I don't know what to make out of that. But I just picked this one because the price is going to be gigantic. And it's run well here before. And if John has the keys to it right now on the drop, it could fire right off the bench at this lowest level ever. So that's all I got, Emily. What are you looking at in here?
There's 2 horses that I think could be live long shots in here. We'll go to the outside first, number 11, Scrupulous. Horse that looks good on the plot. Should be able to sit outside the first flight and get first run. But there's other things to like. A horse that tends to run in every other pattern is finding class relief. It's kind of a subtle second start of the form cycle. Last out, the race 2 back on October 16th at Keeneland. That number definitely stacks up on par. It's part of the early pace that day, but going back even last year, that race, the September race, breaking the maiden for 50,000, that race is one of the strongest in this field and probably gets a similar trip. And again, it's just kind of one of those form cycle patterns that every other pattern should be able to get the right trip, stalking from the outside, adding the blinkers, a rider change, just a lot of intent. These connections that win on this circuit kind of come in live and point to Oaklawn Park. The other horse that's worth a mention at a price is the 3, Bella Hayes. And this is a horse that, going back to starting off her career for these connections, has always been in this barn, was running some pretty fast races as a juvenile. And they stepped up to stakes company and then just got exposed on class, just wasn't on the class level, but they just kept the horse completely overmatched in allowance company, where she's running the same races. She's just not good enough to win. So now coming into this race with progressive pattern, 3rd start of the form cycle, with those numbers that fit, is at the right level for her abilities to just kind of transfer that form and compete. And then it's going to be a big number. So it's kind of a similar angle to Marko making the case for the 1, just kind of has those numbers, finds the right class drop. Just I think the 3 is going to be a bigger number. The other horse that's probably logical is listed as the morning line favorite, though I kind of wonder if the 1 will end up being favored, is number 2, Yes to Champagne, who's kind of similar to Bella Hayes in the sense that they've just been running this horse in really tough spots where it doesn't really fit. And the race on November 27th at Churchill Downs, that's a complete excuse. Draw line through, had legitimate trouble. The rider wrapped up in there. So that's a line through. And then you go back to the November 9th race, and that race fits right on par. So those are kind of the 3 in there, 2 a little bit more creative than the other. But you know what Nick was saying earlier, it's kind of that condition where you want to take a price and try to get creative and see if it works out for you.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thoughts.
And I do like the way your 11 looks on the grid over there.
I like Bella Hayes. I got her underneath. Same logic there. Just she looks pretty good. I actually probably should have maybe used her.
Okay.
The price difference, 12-1 to 3-1, it's like, what do you do?
It's
just let math take over the bigger one. Mm-hmm. Go for it. If it's the same horse, just take a swing.
All right. So I think we're done with maiden races.
Well, there, you know what? Because there's the last couple weeks of the year, everybody wants to like run their maidens and try to get a win. So yeah, the rest of the weekend kind of looks pretty maiden loaded as well.
All right, race 7. We have a non-2 lifer, but it's an allowance race. Big purse, 130,000, going 2 turns, a mile and a 16th. And Mark, we both like the one, but we have a different horse on top. I went to the 5 here. Miss Hebrides. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Miss Hebrides? I don't know.
Hebrides. Is that? I guess we'll go with that. Anyway, ran against the I think the rail horse the last time, yeah. And they just they went really quick up there last time. It's a 1-turn mile at Churchill, but I don't care what distance you're running. That's pretty quick, especially for a mile. 44 and 2. And today we're going 2 turns, and I like this one better than the rail horse going 2 turns. And I think they can both relax a little bit more. I'm just hoping I can get the upper hand on that one at a bigger price. And, we're lightly raced here as opposed to a lot of the other ones in here. So this one has the opportunity to maybe improve more as opposed to some of the other ones that have run a lot more in this race. So I'm just hoping to relax early and, turn the tables on the one here. Go 5-1. You're on the 4 horse.
I'm on the 4 horse. I believe she can definitely get a nice stalking trip. There's a few runners that might hit the front and try to burn each other out. I like the Churchill runners at Oaklawn this year. I think they've been doing pretty well. I like Esquivel. My only knock on this runner is facing winners for the first time, which is always a challenge. Usually when you're looking through the form, you break your maiden, then all of a sudden you get beat and you're like, where did that come from? When I first started looking at horse races, like long time ago, I'm like, I've always didn't really know maidens and all that. And, after you start handicapping, you start understanding horse racing. This is a tough spot, but I think she has a lot of upside.
Yeah, that's a real nice light bulb move in that last race when they ran it for 50. They claimed it for 30 and tried the maiden specials, but when they dropped to 50, they dominated. And based on what I'm seeing from optics, Emily, I would believe that you would kind of like this one.
Why wouldn't, are we talking about this race like the 7 isn't in the field? Is the 7 scratched? I think that horse is supposed to win. But yeah, no, the thing.
Hold on. Lemon Muffin is a money burner, and I just can't play the 7.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I'm never going to knock at a short price. But as far as the 4, if she runs back to that last race, she can compete. The question is that race kind of an outlier? I kind of think so. I think the barn was running hot. I think she's going to regress. It was just such a new top, and it is a step up in class. And to me, if you don't want to play Lemon Muffin, like I fully get it, but Lemon Muffin is supposed to win this race, like without question.
Of course, she's supposed to win. She's supposed to win a lot of races, but she hasn't been really bad.
Well, I disagree with that. I think she's burned money. I think the public has made a mistake in the past. And as far as this race, that race last out, that was a killer effort. She was on the outside. Chilled got first run. Let's Duet came out of that race and just won last weekend in allowance company. Lemon Muffin's been facing tougher. She should have the right trip. Lemon Muffin was also entered in another spot, and they scratched to run here. I just think she's got such a class and speed.
She's working
edge
good
over this field. If she doesn't win this race, then she'll never win again because she's supposed to win. She's supposed to win this race.
Yeah, I agree, but I think she's going to be even money in here, and I just want to, when I put my handicapping hat on, I just want to try.
Like I said, I'd never fault anybody just saying, "Hey, it's a horse that's too short and I can't do it." fair odds just aren't there for me. How do you make money? So for me, I think that she's legitimate. The horse I would try to get creative with underneath is the 3, just kind of hoping the fact that every other horse in this field just is not quite on the level. They all try to go fast early, and then the 3 kind of picks up horses. 7 gets first run, and the 3 passes tired.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way I would try to get double-digit odds out of the race.
All right. Well, we'll see if Lemon Muffin can get that. We're just mad at this runner because it crushed our hearts in the Honeybee last year when we had Tapit Janalee at like 20-something to 1, and this one as a maiden beat us, and that cost me about 10 or 20 grand.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that was sick for sure.
That was, and it's come back. I mean, I get it. Torpedo Anna's in there, and you got all these other good runners, and the last race is great, and the work tab is sensational. But it's gotta show me at even money, and I'll say okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's supposed to win, but.
All right. Race 8. Race 8 is a 35,000 non-3 life event. This is the short stretch of the 2-turn mile at Oaklawn Park. Marco, again, we both like the 8. It's our backup pick, but we landed on a different horse to start out with, and you're on the 4 horse here. Why don't you kick us off with Sutherland here?
I'm picking Sutherland to go gate 2 wire. At Oaklawn, I don't typically pick horses, but I think this one will be the fastest early on the lead. And, at the end, I just got to hang on.
What about the 9? Do you think the 9's going to pressure?
The 9. I have no respect for Prairie Meadows, and that one was running a lot slower early fractions. I don't think that horse is going to get the lead.
Real quick. Sutherland is entered on Sunday. So is there the rule that, like it is at Hawthorne, that if you're entered in one spot and then you're entered later, you have to scratch?
Well, when I pulled up the PPs this morning, it's not showing.
The horse is entered on Sunday because
it's entered on Sunday.
Yeah, the horse is entered on Sunday.
Oh, that's crazy.
I hope they opt for this race.
I wonder why it's not showing up.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, because at Hawthorne, unless it's a stakes race, if you enter on whatever the later one is, that's the race you have to take. Like, the other race is scratched.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I'm going to follow that and
it's entered entered in race 7 on Sunday.
But they should show it here on the past performances like they do at other tracks, and I don't know why it's not showing up here.
If you go to Mike, am I losing my mind?
Usually on the left here. Is it showing up on your past performances?
It's showing up on the Sunday past performances.
Sundays, I know, but usually the race day, like on this card here, it'll show up here where I'm circling, in this area. But
is that yeah.
But okay, so it's entered Sunday. So all right, we'll find out.
Yeah, Equibase has it as well, entered on Sunday.
So if the 4 scratches today, I would imagine that the 9, even though Marco, you don't like Pleasant Prairie, that one might have the easy lead.
Yeah, it may.
I don't know.
I'm banking, and I hope he doesn't scratch, and I love the connections. I think trainer has this one ready to roll, but we'll see what happens. About 10:30, 11 o'clock, we're going to know. I know that's when the scratch list comes out.
All right. Well, I landed on the 7. Aaron. Sharp drill at Remington coming in, so we're shipping in. Got a top rider. And lost to a monster in the last. That horse, Sharp Spark. Now, I'm wondering if that was a real number, though. They took it off the turf and it won by 7. That could be fake. Although it did run in an allowance here, so that's a different animal. But anyway, this one's 8-1. Christian Torres takes them out. It seems like it's feeling good shipping in here. You don't know, it's never run here. So that's kind of a concern. I don't have any morning drills either locally. I usually like to see him to either run well or work well here, as opposed to shipping in, because a lot of times a horse for course angle at Oaklawn does apply. But Torres takes the mount, and we're an $18 animal, so I took a shot here. Emily, what are you looking at?
I mean, right now I'm looking at where horses are entered, but
okay.
Well, and this is going to come into play in race 9 as well. But yeah, I mean, I think the race actually for Sutherland might be a little bit better on Sunday, just because it's a sprint. But I think on the field makes sense. Maybe the other one to get a little bit creative with is Cab. Obviously, if some of the speed scratches out, Happy Strike might have a pace advantage in here. On the field makes sense. Number 6, Cab doesn't look that great on the plot, but some of that has to do with those recent trips.
Okay.
Had a trip 2 back that was actually a competitive race, that show finish, and then last out kind of had to rush up between horses.
Yeah, so, I see that 2 wide between. I hate being between horses near the front.
Yeah, so this just could be a better spot. They're supposed to run a little bit better last out, but yeah, it's definitely one to kind of check how who's in and how that would change the race shape. But I think the 8, who you guys both have second, makes is kind of like another horse. Is going to be a short price, but probably supposed to win.
Yeah, the Mike Maker shipper in here ran here last year too. So I that was one that. I could pick it on top and collect the $5 and the $3 to place, but I just was trying to beat it. All right, race 9.
Yeah,
oh.
so in race 9, I just want to say real quick
Sure.
that a couple horses are cross-entered. Race Cane, is it showing on there? Race Cane and
now Race Cane. You see what I'm looking at here on the screen? It shows entered. Now the other horse, it didn't show that. So I'm interested to know if Oaklawn has some kind of a rule that you could, or something that you can do where you don't have. I don't know. It entered. You're saying that horse was in for Sunday in the last race, and it should show it here.
Yeah.
Like
so one. Race Cane and Osborne are cross entered in another race,
which is denoted here.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we have to get to the bottom of what's going on with the 7 from the last race. Let's see this race here. Where did I land? This is the 8th race. No, this is the 9th race. Yeah, me and Mark, we're all over the place on this one. I'll start us off. I'm on the 4 horse. The 4 horse is Rivet. This is a horse that I absolutely love today. It's going to be one of my stronger opinions. I showed that replay in debut because Marco, your top pick was in that replay as well. And of course, the horse we picked in NHC beat both of our horses at Day Jackson Traveler. But this one's freshened up nicely and doing well locally here. And I think it's just ready to rock here. I think this was the target for the seasonal debut. Those are my notes here. And like I said, the work tab is sensational. And Asmussen knows how to get a nice runner like this. This is a 4-year-old later in this 4-year-old season now. It's probably going to be in the prime of its career and have a really good Oaklawn meet. And I expect this one to probably be in the Count Fleet. Would be the target later on in the season. So where did you go? You went with Tejano Twist, the old guy, the closing sprinter, right?
Yep. The only target is in Tejano Twist's crosshairs. So you know what we're going to try to do? We're going to catapult to the front at the end. There's some speed.
Yeah, you're going to drop anchor and make a big ass run.
I love this horse. Really always have. Tough, competitive. I mean, made a lot of money. Yeah, should be right there at the end. It's going to be fun to watch the stretch run here.
It likes Oaklawn. I'll give you that. 100% in the money. 7 out of 8 in the exacta. So it always runs a big race here. I'm just wondering. It's going on its 6-year-old season. It's still probably in the prime of its career. I'll give you that.
Plenty of juice. Yeah.
Well, it's got a lot of wear and tear on the tread, though. 35
you know,
yards.
this, you know, like
It's a horse. That's what they're supposed to do.
I don't know, but it's 2024.
Come
like,
on.
you know, this is
But
this,
Come
is,
on.
this isn't a
I-
Hyundai. Okay, this is more like a Lamborghini, you know, or
Hyundai.
like a Hummer.
It's an allowance race. What do you want?
Yeah,
He's
I
earning
mean, these
checks.
things are-
This guy's. Trust me. If I
All
had
right,
this
well,
horse, I'd be
built
running him.
built to last. All right.
Well, I think
Yeah,
Rivet.
exactly.
I think Rivet's going to beat it. What am I looking at over here on our optics plot? It looks like, oh boy, what do we got a lot of. Okay, so I think it likes my horse, but
It doesn't dislike by any
Yeah.
means, and especially if the 8 ends up scratching out, that's definitely gonna upgrade. First of all, gotta get to the right race.
Yeah.
There we go.
Man.
Yeah, if the 8 comes out and even the 1 who's kind of moving up the speed rate a little bit, it's kind of weird. But if both those horses scratch out, the 4 has the early advantage over the 2 and the 9 for sure. So that definitely helps out Rivet. Couple other horses in here. I would upgrade Rivet because I was looking at a completely different race when I handicapped it with everybody in at the first. I gave a look to Osborne and Race Kane, 2 horses that I also upgraded later in the week. So Rivet for sure. I also like the stablemate Bourbon Heist, who, if you're looking at the plot, just kind of go back to the plot real quick. And you can see where Tejano Twist is. He's the 7. The plot is similar to the 6. So
That's true.
Again, if we're talking, we're talking from a value standpoint, and then the 3 is 5-1. So you have 7-2, 5-1, or 10-1. 10-1 is just the math number. And Bourbon Heist is second off a layoff. They're going to wheel back in 3 weeks from what looked like to be a prep. I thought last out, the race back at Keeneland in October, I thought was sneaky good. They had to close against the flow under a massive number in there. So Bourbon Heist, as far as the closers, would make sense. And then Run Classic, I think, could maybe even still sneak away at a price. They were entered in the Ring the Bell Stakes. They ended up taking this spot instead. Has buried form, has fast numbers, maybe just gets that first run. So yeah, upgraded picks. I would upgrade the 4, still use the 6 and the 10.
Okay.
Try to beat the 7, at least on top.
What are your thoughts on banishing? It looks.
Just absolutely no value.
Right.
I'd rather have the 10, the 6, and even the 7. Banishing, I think, is also cross-entered. No.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Banishing. It doesn't show anything for banishing being cross-entered on my PPs.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that.
But it does for the 1. The 1's cross-entered, and
the 8.
The 8. Yes, the 8 is. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's good. This is going to be a fun race. There's a lot of familiar names in here. These are all classy horses. I just feel like Asmussen's got Rivet ready for that comebacker like it did in February last year. And, 4-1, I'll take it if we can get it. Maybe we'll get an overlay, but I doubt it. Okay. That's good. All right, the last race to close out the pick 5. Marco, this is the one race we finally land on the same horse, which we usually land in about 2 or 3 on a race card.
I'm adding even more weight because I think I landed on this one too.
Did you really?
Yeah, a lot of weight on this horse.
Well, what I liked about it, this trainer has been on fire here. 3 of 5 starts he's won locally, and he thought enough about this one to put it in for the waiver claim off that layoff. He wanted to protect it, so I'm willing to whatever. It bumped. The Churchill. I hate that we can't get replays. I had to go back and look on my advanced wagering site and look at it. But yeah, I mean, you get bumped and it just kind of packed it in there. It did have front wraps last time, so we'll have to see if those are off or what's the story there. That was our big thing at Hawthorne, Emily. Remember, hey, this one's got front wraps or this one's They finally took them off and blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
especially in this case, right? Front wraps first off a layoff is kind of not a good sign.
But it was protected. Maybe they just wanted to let it run around the track.
Yeah, no. On that day, we would have definitely played against, right? You look at him on paper, and then he comes out on the track with front wraps on, and then you go, no, I'm going back to the drawing board. Somebody else is going to be their day.
Yeah, and the race last year wasn't bad. I thought that was a good effort locally. So it did have a race here that, if it could run something similar to that, it could be right there. So the barn's hot. They protected it. Second off the layoff angle, and I do have a race to point to. Marco, why don't you dive into it, and we'll let Emily tell us about this one as well.
Pretty much everything you said, I like. One of my biggest reasons was like you said, the barn is very hot. And you got. I mean, Esquivel hasn't really heated up yet. Only the 2 wins and 24 starts, but the man can ride. So, and really, there's as far as like the numbers go, this one fits. In with the favorites, and you're getting 12-1 morning line.
Yeah,
I don't think we're getting 12-1 morning line, because if all three of us are seeing the same thing, I just think it's going to be a bad line. I think this horse will probably be closer to 3-1.
Okay,
honestly,
I think so too, because the numbers are like 3-1, 7-2, competitive with those runners in here.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm looking at the plot, it looks pretty good on here, in my opinion. The 9 looks good. Emily, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say the same things about the 1. I think it's pretty logical. Just some of those others that you mentioned. I mean, the 9's another one that I just don't like from a value standpoint. Certainly fits, could definitely win. I just didn't want to take a short price. I haven't been a big fan of this rider on this circuit yet. Needs to kind of put things together, especially before taking a short price. But a couple other horses that could be value in here. The 8. No, not the 8. Sorry, the 6. Thanks, Frank. Second off the layoff, going back to the races at Oaklawn in the past, was kind of following that every other pattern. Could step up in this spot. Make some noise. The 8 was the one that I thought would be kind of taking money. And then the 11, Rewire. This horse might end up being kind of the value in here. Maybe this one kind of sneaks away and ends up being that 12-1 runner. Looks excellent on the plot. Should get first stalking trip, sitting above the par line. They have that current form. They have local form. They have figures that fit with today's group. They're drawn on the outside, which again should probably be overlooked from the public. They weren't able to work at a trip from the outside back on November 1st at Churchill Downs, but that was a completely different scenario when they were wheeling back in 2 weeks. They've had 30 days prepping for this meet. This barn's already sent out a live runner, so maybe that's the one to kind of keep an eye on if they sneak away on the board. But they're kind of right there with the 1, maybe a 111 when it's 111.6.
This is I think all these horses, I'll probably, I don't know, trifecta key. I'll do some exactas, 3 horse exacta boxes, and I'll just try and, the 11, I definitely will throw in based on.
I like the 11 as well.
Yeah.
11 is definitely a player.
It's a good price. It's one I didn't really think about until you pointed it out. And I think I'm definitely going to throw that one underneath and try and get a big score here with that one, along with, we'll probably get bet with the one you're thinking. We're 12-1. The 11, was that 30-1? No, it's 6-1. Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's maybe going to drift up a little bit, because the 8, though, if the one takes money, the 9 is definitely going to take money. The 8's going to take money.
Yeah.
The money's got to shift. The money's got to shift somewhere. It's not going to shift to the 10. Or somebody shouldn't pick on the 10. The 10.
It's a big field.
Races, but yeah,
it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. Good stuff, Emily. Optics. If anybody wants to get on optics, it's just the website is just optics.
Opticseq.com.
Opticseq.com. Let me. Share that real quick if I can type it in. It's www.optics. EQ.
And you just did the one day.
Well, I just did the one day for today, but
Okay.
just to get used to it, and I'm going to be playing around with it all day. I haven't had time to really dive into it like I wanted to. And, with the holiday season coming and a lot of downtime, I'm going to be playing with optics a lot.
Cool. Well, if you end up wanting to if you end up wanting to do a month or whatever, just shoot us a message and we'll try to prorate.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean? Put that 25 towards a monthly or a weekend or something.
Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah. No, I know you don't care. I mean,
Appreciate it.
I don't know. We're just, for people that are listening, if that's ever a case, like if you try for one day and then you realize, oh, you know what, I want to keep using this, we'll, kind of help you out as far as that goes. Because the weekend is a good deal too. It's $50, and then you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday every track. So.
Oh, really? So for $50, you can get all 3 days. All right.
Yeah, I believe so. Unless we change that.
I didn't really. I saw a silver and I saw something else, and I bought one. I bought the silver one. Tom, thanks everybody. This was great. You finished just as we got to our first stop. Awesome. I didn't know. Oh yeah, Tom's coming to Oaklawn. I saw his little note earlier. He's driving down there, Marco, so maybe you can connect with him over there.
Is he coming to Rockies for an uppercut?
He might. He loves the uppercut at Rocky's Corner. Emily, when's the last time you've been to Hot Springs?
The last time would be the first time, because I've never been.
Oh, are you kidding? Are you?
Oh, come on.
Dude, what is going on with all of these horse people, these horse players? They've never been to Oaklawn.
Well, okay, so
it's amazing.
To be fair, listen to this. So I moved from Arizona, so it's kind of not close to Arizona, right? And then I moved here during COVID, so everything was kind of like shut down. I guess not Oaklawn. Oaklawn wasn't shut down. That was like the one place on earth.
Oaklawn was right.
So it's just kind of one of those where I just really haven't had like the opportunity. Plus, also, I'm following tracks from like all over, so it's hard to get away because then the work will back up big time.
It's the Saratoga of the South.
Yep.
Ooh.
They call it the
Saratoga
Racing Festival of the South.
It's also called the Spa. They call it the Spa there too. It's the Spa of the South.
It's the Spa City.
Well, Hot Springs, they have every right to call themselves a spa.
Oh, they got real spas and real hot springs there. I don't know. Saratoga has that.
You go downtown. Exactly. You can go to Bathhouse Row, do all your hot baths and all that.
They got shopping. They got little trinket shops, and they got Mark. What's that one shop we go to? They got all those candies and shakes and
the candy store.
I mean, that thing is crazy in there.
Yeah, just don't bring any kids in there, and you'll be.
Yeah, that's what we did. We brought all our nieces and nephews and your son in there, and they clipped me for like $2 when I went in there.
It's not cheap in there.
I was like, damn. And then there's the wax museum, and then you have the goat cart thing, and then they got the duck tours where you can take the World War II style vehicles that can go in the water, and you go through in the lake. And what else is down there, Marco? You have the pancake house, which I love, with the blueberry pancakes.
We got the famous Arlington Hotel.
Yeah, the piano bar for New Year's. I'm coming down for New Year's. We got to go down there.
And then you got the mountain. You can go up to the top and you can see like the lakes, the city.
Oh, cool.
Oh, there's a lot of hiking trails right around.
Yeah.
I like to hike. I like to do all that crap.
It's a cool town, even if you don't like horse racing, but that's just the bonus of it. But if you come into summertime, you have all the lakes, the activities on the water, in the fall. You got hiking with the weather, and then like right now it's like you go hiking in the morning, it's beautiful weather. You're not going to be too overwhelmed with heat because it's nice, and then you can go home, you can go to the bathhouse, get ready, and then you can hit the 12:30 post time.
There you go. And
bam.
Yeah, and Hot Springs, it has a lot of history. They had legalized gambling there up until 1968, and I think my dad used to be a cop there when we lived down there for 3 years, and he was telling me stories from the old timers. I think it was the sheriff's department and the state police had a shootout about who's going to get the gambling handle down there in 1968. There's articles about. There's actually a gangster museum down there. Al Capone used to go down there a lot.
Yeah, this was his hangout.
Oh, we forgot to mention the Ohio Club. That's a cool hangout.
Yeah.
David Hill wrote a book all about it. Vapors. For those that read books.
Anthony says Alligator Farm.
Alligator Farm.
I've never been there. I've never been to the Alligator Farm.
I've been to the Alligator Farm as well.
I'll have to.
Yeah, we went there. I got T-shirts. I got a shot glass and some alligator candy.
No shit.
Yep. Some guy lost his arm. He got like.
No, are you serious?
Well, not when I was there, but
Wait, that really happened?
Well, he told a story about
how God, man.
Somebody got grabbed, and no, it maybe it wasn't him that lost the arm. I think it was the guy who tried to save him. I forgot. Okay. But yeah, you don't mess with a gator.
It doesn't seem unreasonable when you're talking about an alligator farm to be like someone over the course of time lost their arm. You're like,
well, Emily,
that's a believable story.
Emily, in Florida, I see these dudes. The alligator's got its head open, and they're putting their head in there. I'm like, what are you doing?
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, you're just playing with fire there or something.
But they're different animals if they're in the water or on land. That's from what I know. But I'm not an expert on alligators.
I ain't going near an alligator. I'm sorry. Emily, I know you're not a football gal, but Notre Dame is playing Indiana Hoosiers tonight in the first round of a college football playoff. Do you have an opinion on the Indiana Hoosiers versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
No, I had no clue. If you mentioned those things,
all right.
And I hadn't even guessed what sport it was, I wouldn't even guess.
All right. I didn't know it was that bad. No, it's
not bad.
Everybody knows who Notre Dame is.
At least I'm being honest, everyone.
All right.
Yeah.
Marco, who's going to win that game tonight?
More than likely. I mean, Notre Dame is the consensus, I would imagine.
All right.
But I'm gonna go with Indiana.
I'm going with the Hoosiers myself.
They've been
Notre
playing
Dame.
good ball. In-state, it's going to be an in-state matchup. So this is going to be for Indiana clout.
Notre Dame's been whipping up on Army and Navy.
I'll say Notre Dame. That way, nobody will have not a winner.
There you go.
We'll have it all covered.
All right, Emily, what are you doing today? Are you going to just play the races?
Yep, I'm just playing the races, doing notes. Keeping up.
Well, we'll be posting our wins and losses on Twitter today. Everybody follow Oaklawn. And also do a like and subscribe for our channel, and follow us, and trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. We've been stuck in the 700s, right around 699, 700 for a while. So
we got a new season.
Get some new subscribers here. All right, Emily. Well, we'll see you on Twitter. See how your picks do. See how ours do. Marco, keep up the good work. You're positive, whatever, $40-something. I'm gonna pick up the slack, and I'm gonna go from there. Let's cash some tickets.
And happy holidays if we don't talk before next week.
Yes, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, and whatever other things going on.
New Year.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right,
Thank you
see
again.
you guys.